At this point, 25% of the non-obese, non-diabetic population of the United States is what we call insulin-resistant syndrome, also known as Syndrome X. This is a rather significant issue, and it's a disease of lifestyle. And this comes from decades of following the food pyramid, unfortunately, of consuming a high amount of high refined processed carbohydrates and a high amount of trans fatty acids. At this point, we would like to have an evaluation, look at your HDL, the total cholesterol level, look at your inflammatory markers, look at blood sugar, and most importantly, look at your fasting insulin level. Now, most labs will give you a high normal of 17 for your fasting insulin. That is way wrong, and that number should be around 5 to 6. If you start going around 8 to 9, and you have a low HDL and you have a high triglyceride and your waist is starting to get a little larger, it's a very good possibility that you are insulin resistant. And what that means is that you will have inflammation throughout your entire body, which greatly increases your risk of cardiovascular events and neurodegenerative decline. So very important, one of the most important strategies that we do in the office is to find patients that are candidates for this and reduce that with nutritional intervention, exercise, and diet. High cholesterol. This is one of my favorite topics because it seems that about 9 out of 10 patients that are coming into my clinic are taking a statin drug, and I think that this is a little bit overblown. Cholesterol happens to be a very important precursor to all your sex steroid hormones. What I mean by that is in order to make testosterone, in order to make progesterone, in order to make estrogen, and in order to make cortisol, which is your stress hormone, it comes from cholesterol. So if you're living, say in New York, and you have a hectic lifestyle and you have a lot of stress, your body's going to make a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is made from cholesterol. So we know that stress dries up cholesterol. Just to shut off the production of cholesterol in your liver and prevent your body from making that is a little short-sighted if you ask me. So there are nutritional strategies out there that can lower your cholesterol naturally without causing the downside. Now the downside of taking these statin drugs, not only can they cause liver damage, but they can also cause a reduction of a very important key nutrient called coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10 is so essential and so critical that it's considered a pharmaceutical or nutrient of choice in Japan, where most of this research was done. But there's an article called the Schultz study that was done in the Journal of Neurology, I believe in 1998, that showed the benefits of CoQ10, especially for Parkinson's disease patients. It also showed that patients that were taking pravastatin and lovastatin had a 29% and a 19% decrease in coenzyme Q10. So if you decrease CoQ10, you're setting yourself up for Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and cognitive failure. Also, you can be causing yourself to have a heart attack, which is kind of strange because you're taking a drug to lower cholesterol, and by taking a drug to lower cholesterol, you deplete CoQ10, which is a key nutrient for heart function, and that can cause you to have a heart attack. So think about that for a minute. CoQ10 is also a key nutrient in how your muscles work. So you don't want to lose CoQ10 as you get older. And what I submit to you that there is a program that I have that can lower your cholesterol naturally. We use things such as niacin, polycosanol, sometimes red rice yeast if necessary. We change the oil, so we'll give you omega-3 oils. I like using a product called Omega Ultramarine or Omega Synergy, which has very high concentration of oils. And please do not assume that all fish oils are created equal, because they're not. We also use plant-based sterols. 2 grams of plant sterols per day can have a dramatic decrease in lowering cholesterol. And one of my favorite products is called tocotrienols. Tocotrienols can dramatically lower your LDLs by about 25%. There's something called the diurnal synthesis of cholesterol. Your body pulses it and makes it at nighttime before you go to bed, and you would want to take the tocotrienols right at night before you go to sleep to prevent that diurnal synthesis or that nighttime synthesis of cholesterol. And it does so by not lowering HMG coenzyme reductase, which is the enzyme that makes cholesterol. It doesn't deplete coenzyme Q10. So tocotrienols are very, very safe. One of my favorite nutrients that I use with patients with a tremendous amount of success is carnitine. We use a liquid carnitine called CarniClear. It's about 2,500 milligrams of L-carnitine in 1 teaspoon that can dramatically lower your cholesterol. By doing so, it converts your triglycerides into fuel instead of having your triglycerides being converted into your LDL cholesterol. So carnitine, tocotrienols, oils, polycostin oil. These are great nutraceuticals to lower cholesterol without going on these statin drugs that can be very, very damaging.
Go ahead.
What I mean by neurodegenerative disease is Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS, ALS, memory loss, loss of memory sharpness. We know that most of these are diseases of lifestyle. Yes, you might have a genetic predisposition, but just because you have a genetic predisposition doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to come down with Alzheimer's disease. So we like to prevent and use nutritional strategies at this point. So we know that fish oils, the EPA, DHA, especially the DHA component found in cod liver oil, is extremely protective to the brain. It's structural and functional. If your brain has been traumatized, we like using a nutrient known as glycerol phosphocholene. If you've had a stroke, we like using a nutrient called vinpocetine. So there are some critical brain nutrients. CoQ10 is one of my favorites. Phosphatidylserine is very protective of what we call the hippocampus in your brain, which is so important for memory. So there are a tremendous amount of nutrients on the market that we have on our website that can be specifically tailored to you so that you can prevent these neurodegenerative diseases of lifestyle. This is people's number one fear, is really losing who oneself is and forgetting who you are. You know, if you walk into a room and you forgot where you put your keys, this is a cardinal sign that about 10, 20 years later, you're going to forget how to use the keys. So we'd like to be able to prevent these type of things from happening by employing some very specific dietary lifestyle changes, look at stress, look at sleep, and address these things from a nutritional and lifestyle standpoint. Bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. At this time, there's been a tremendous amount of research that's come down the pipe around hormones and hormone replacement therapy. And the term that I'm going to use here is called bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and that's much different than just plain HRT. HRT, or hormone replacement therapy, uses synthetic hormones. So even though the Premarin was touted as a natural hormone, it's natural for a horse because it is found in nature, but you don't want to take horse estrogen and put it into a human. And Premarin stands for pregnant mare urine. So just think about that for a minute, and you will not want to put that into your body. What bioidentical hormone replacement therapy is plant-based, bioidentical to human hormones. So we can do an intake whether we use blood work or salivary hormone testing. And I can do salivary hormone testing with you over the internet. I send you a kit, and we send that to a lab after you collect your saliva, and I will get a very specific pattern of you. And then we can have a compound pharmacy or one of my favorite nutraceutical companies make a very specific compound cream for you that we can now mimic your normal physiology and bring your hormones back to balance. Because as we get older, and we're living now longer than ever before, is that our hormone systems start to decline. And that's really what causes us to age. So if we can keep our hormone levels at their maximum, we can really prolong longevity, spend more time in the health zone, and less time being disabled as we move through our decades of living.